Welcome to Jumpsuiters, a podcast where we explore higher dimensional topics in a practical 3D reality sort of way. In today's episode, we'll be jumping into part 2 of exploring our authenticity. In the last episode, we talked about how personality types are actually coping mechanisms and survival strategies, not really who we are. And then we took a journey inward, practicing what it's like to be you right now. Because most of us live our lives disassociated or in our heads, and how are we ever supposed to express our authentic selves if we're not allowing ourselves to feel what's going on inside? If we can't connect with what's happening in here, then we cannot be seen out there. And finally, we underscored the need to meet yourself as the observer, the one who's able to witness what it's like to be you in any given moment without identifying with any single thought, emotion, or sensation. So now I want to build upon this. So let's take a look at the stuff that actually gets in the way of authentically expressing you on the outside. If your outside doesn't match your inside, then there's a good chance you're not showing up as authentically as you'd think. As humans, we've gotten pretty good at using survival skills that cut us off from our authenticity. And the irony is, we do this typically to maintain connection with another. But the thesis here is that connection will be limited at best, illusory at worst. And the greatest tragedy of all, we ultimately lose connection with ourselves. So the first thing I want to look at is people-pleasing. When we prioritize other people's needs or wants or preferences over our own, we are incapable of being authentic. Don't get me wrong, it's a super smart coping mechanism that can help us gain things like approval or avoid conflict, which feel like maintaining connection. And many of us learned how to do this in childhood. Some of you experienced early conditioning or programming where receiving love or safety felt contingent on your own compliance. As an adult, you find yourself in situations where you agreed to help someone, even though you're already overwhelmed yourself and could use help yourself. This makes you feel exhausted and frustrated on the inside, yet you feel unable to say no, which eventually leads to resentment. And resentment wants to point blame at others when the problem is perhaps your own boundaries. So this pattern causes you to abandon yourself over and over again for the sake of others, and then wear that sacrifice like a badge, though it's killing you on the inside. And while it may work to keep the peace or whatever, you're never fully known, you're never fully witnessed or loved for who you authentically are. Here's another one. You may not have heard this term before, but I'm sure you're familiar with the concept. It's called introjection, and it's when you unconsciously adopt the beliefs or values of others without critical examination or authentic resonance. Introjection is a defense mechanism that helps you maintain connection to others, typically authority figures like parents or spiritual leaders or your boss, by submitting to a lack of congruence between internal feelings and external behaviors. For example, from childhood, your parents make it super clear what the family values are, and you're not to question them. You must always be polite and never show anger. Over time, you internalize this belief, and as an adult, you become obsessed with being good or doing the right thing. When you get mad, you say, "Everything's great," with a fake smile on your face. And you do this instinctually, unconsciously, and at the expense of your own truth, which sadly over time becomes elusive to you. You abandon yourself here because you don't allow yourself to explore what it is that you might actually believe or value or want. Even the mere thought of second-guessing something that you've believed to be true and a way you've lived your entire life feels like heresy. You suppress your truth for some capital T truth that was never really yours to begin with. This is a dark one, and it's really hard to see, but it keeps you from authenticity, and it gives you a sense of self-righteousness for your self-abandonment. Another one is code switching, or the ability to be a chameleon. When we mirror another person to appear more like them, or we change our appearance, the way we talk, the things we do. This is what coming-of-age films are made of. You desperately want to join the plastics, but you're not actually a mean girl. You think Regina George is so cool, but what's actually cool is your own fucking authenticity, but you're too insecure to love yourself. This coping mechanism runs deep. It keeps us closeted because, again, there's the fear that if we were really to be seen, we would be rejected or abandoned. But I'll say it again, you're the one abandoning you. Here's another one that I'm super familiar with. Denial. In an effort to be strong and have my shit together, I lose touch with my own needs and vulnerabilities. How am I doing? Fine. Is there anything you can do for me? Nope, I've got it. My extreme independence developed at the expense of feeling my own pain or tenderness. My toughness led me to believe that I didn't need anyone, which kept me from experiencing love and support. So how's that abandoning myself, right? I'm the one who shows up for me. There's the denial, because if it felt safe enough to admit deep down that I was tired, or it'd be nice to have some help or to be held, I can't say it, can I? There's the self-abandonment, the protective wall that was erected to protect your heart, to keep people from authentically experiencing all of you. To no surprise, there's a lot more coping mechanisms than this. So the work becomes getting curious about what they are and how you're using them, finding compassion for yourself, because it's easy to start shaming or judging ourselves when we learn that we've abandoned ourselves. And the truth is, the amount of love we can receive from others is contingent on the amount of love we're capable of giving ourselves. So look for ways you self-abandon. Look for where the inauthenticity shows up for you. And when you see it, say, there it is. See what it needs. Try to give that to yourself. I was telling my friend the other day about a program I'm developing. I've had this dream of a certain type of body work that's like super customized to me. It allows me to say what feels good. I want my face smeared, or like I like being like stretch me or whatever, right? Using my voice to say yes or no or more of that. And as I was explaining this to her, I saw tears well up in her eyes. And she said to me, like, God, I don't even like massages. Like, I make myself go get a massage for self-care. And then the whole time I'm on the table, I'm tense and I hate it. And then when the masseuse asks me if it feels good, I say yes. And she goes, how fucked up is that? How fucked up that I would put my own body through that. How fucked up that we would respond with how fucked up. So there it is right there, isn't it? The work, be honest, be seen, be supported by self and other, experience more connection as a result. You become integrated, authentic. You won't be over-identified with the thoughts and the emotions. You'll be the observer, the welcomer, the lover, the healer. You'll finally be the one that you've been waiting for. This podcast episode was sponsored by Jumpsuit, a creative agency powered by the Independent Network. For more content or conversations like this, please join our Patreon as we continue to jump into all sorts of existential shit. Patreon.com/Jumpsuiters.